The stars looked different from this far out. Corporal Taeyang Kim pressed his hand against the cold window of the horizon's edge, and wondered if anyone back on Earth was looking up at the same time. They wouldn't see him, of course. He was too far away now, beyond anything humans had ever explored before. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Minji Park walked up beside him, carrying a tablet filled with alien language patterns. She was the smartest person Taeyang had ever met, and also the most nervous. Her hands always shook before big meetings, I guess, Taeyang said. Mostly looks like empty space to me. Minji laughed. That's because you're a Marine. You probably think the Mona Lisa's just old paint on canvas. Before Taeyang could reply, the ship's alarm system beeped softly. Captain Jun Ho Lee's voice came through the speakers, calm but firm. All hands, we have contact. 3 ships approaching from Sector 7. This is not a drill, Taeyang's heart jumped. This was it. First contact with alien life. After 200,000 years of human history, they were finally meeting someone else in the universe. He rushed to his station in the cargo bay where the other Marines waited. They wore their best uniforms, not combat gear. This was supposed to be peaceful. On the bridge, Captain Junho watched the alien ships grow larger on his screens. They were beautiful in a strange way, all curves and purple metal that seemed to glow from within. Nothing like Earth's blocky military vessels. Ambassador Hyun Choi stood beside him, adjusting his tie for the 100th time. Remember, Hyun said quietly, we smile, we bow, we show respect. Earth's future depends on this going well. I understand, Ambassador Junho replied. He'd been a military captain for 15 years, but he'd never been more nervous than right now. The alien ship stopped a few kilometers away. A message came through and the ship's computer worked to translate it. After a moment, words appeared on the screen along with a video feed. The alien who appeared looked like a giant mantis with 4 arms and huge black eyes. Its mouth moved in strange ways. I am Commander Salth of the Valtrine Empire, the translation read. You are humans from the planet Earth. We have been watching your progress. You have developed faster than light travel. This requires our attention. Hyun stepped forward, smiling his best diplomatic smile. Greetings, Commander Salth. I am Ambassador Hyun Choi, representing Earth and all humanity. We come in peace and friendship. We hope to learn from you and perhaps join the community of spacefaring civilizations. The mantis creature tilted its head. Its translator made clicking sounds before words formed. The Galactic Council has rules for new species. You are primitive, violent. We have seen your history, your wars, your weapons. You are not ready for the stars. Minji, watching from her station, felt her stomach drop. This wasn't going how they'd hoped. Jan kept smiling, though his eyes showed worry. We acknowledge our violent past, but we've grown, we've learned. We've had global peace for over 50 years now. We've eliminated poverty, disease. 50 years is nothing, Salt interrupted. The Council has maintained peace for 10,000 of your years. You must prove yourselves. You will return to your solar system. You will not leave it for 500 years. During this time you will be watched. If you show progress, perhaps you will be reconsidered. The bridge went silent. 500 years. That was longer than the United States had existed. Longer than most human nations. They would trap Earth in its own backyard for centuries. Junho clenched his fists but said nothing. This was Hyun's show. Commander, Hyun said carefully, that seems excessive. Surely we can negotiate a shorter period with Council observers. We could learn so much from you and perhaps offer our own knowledge in return. Salth's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. You have nothing we need. Your technology is children playing with fire. Your science is primitive. Your culture is barbaric. You will accept the Council's terms, or you will be made to accept them. Something in those last words made Junho's military instincts scream. He glanced at his tactical officer, who was already checking the alien ship's positions. Hyun's smile finally faded. Made to accept them? Are you threatening Earth? It is not a threat, it is fact. The Council has uplifted 300 species. We have eliminated 72 species who proved too dangerous or too stubborn. We are offering you a chance. Do not waste it with pride. In the cargo bay, Taeyang heard every word through his earpiece. Around him, the other Marines shifted nervously. Eliminated 72 species. The aliens had just admitted to genocide. Multiple genocides. I need to consult with my government, Hyun said slowly. This decision is too large for one person. You have 1 minute, Salth said. Then he gestured with one of his forearms. To help you decide quickly, the 3 alien ships suddenly lit up with weapon ports. They didn't fire, but bright targeting lasers swept across the horizon's edge, painting it from bow to stern. It was a clear threat. Captain Junho's jaw tightened. In all his years of military service, he'd learned one absolute rule. When someone points a gun at you, you assume they mean to use it. The alien ships had just locked weapons on his vessel. "Tactical," he said quietly. "Do we have a firing solution?" His weapons officer, a young woman named Bora Song, nodded. "Yes, sir. The railgun is charged. But, sir, these are first contact protocols. We can't—" "They just threatened to fire on us," Junho said. "That changes everything." On the screen, Salt was speaking again. "Your time is up, Ambassador. What is your answer? Will Earth submit to the Council's wisdom, or will you choose extinction?" Hyun looked at Junho. The captain looked back. In that moment, without words, they both understood. Earth had spent thousands of years learning one lesson over and over. When bullies threaten you, you either submit forever or you stand up once. Earth didn't raise its children to submit. "Tell him no," Junho said. Hyun took a breath, then faced the screen. "Commander Salt, Earth rejects your terms. We will not be prisoners in our own solar system. If the Council wishes to negotiate as equals, we are willing. If not, then we have nothing more to discuss." Salt's mandibles spread wide. "Then you have chosen death. Let this be a lesson to all species who reject the Council's mercy." The alien ship's weapons went from standby to active, targeting systems locked on. In 3 more seconds, they would fire. Junho didn't wait 3 seconds. "Fire," he ordered. The Horizon's Edge's experimental railgun had been designed to shoot asteroids for mining operations. It fired tungsten rods the size of telephone poles at a significant fraction of light speed. When those rods hit the first Valtrine ship, the shields that were designed to stop plasma and lasers did absolutely nothing. The tungsten went through the ship like a bullet through wet paper. The alien vessel exploded in a ball of fire and debris. "Reload!" Juno shouted. "Fire at will." 2 more shots, 2 more explosions. In 15 seconds, 3 alien warships were gone. On the view screen, Commander Salt's face showed an emotion that translated clearly across species. Shock. His ship, the flagship, was already turning to run. You attacked us!" Salt screamed. "You fired first. The Council will hear of this. You have declared war on the entire Galactic Council. You have declared war on 847 species. You are dead. Your planet is dead. Your species will be eliminated." The transmission cut off as the flagship jumped to faster-than-light speed, running away. The bridge was silent. Slowly, everyone turned to look at Captain Junho. He stared at the empty space where the alien ships had been, his face pale. "What have I done?" he whispered. Ambassador Hyun put a hand on his shoulder. "You saved our lives, Captain." "They were going to fire. They're going to come back," Junho said. "They're going to come back with more ships. With an army. We just started a war with 800 alien civilizations." Down in the cargo bay, Taiyang listened to the silence on the comm system. Around him, Marines looked at each other with wide eyes. Finally, one of them spoke. "Guess we're going to war with the whole galaxy," the Marine said. Taiyang checked his rifle, making sure it was ready. He thought about Earth so far away. He thought about his family, his friends, everyone who had no idea what was coming. "Then we better win," he said. The Galactic Council chamber was the largest room ever built by any species in known space. It floated in orbit around a neutron star, a massive station that had existed for 8,000 years. Representatives from 847 different species gathered there, and none of them had ever seen the Council in such chaos. High Arbiter Velnash stood at the center of the chamber, his blue skin darkening with rage. He was a Taurian, one of the oldest and most respected species in the galaxy. He had led the Council for 300 years, and never in that time had anyone dared to attack a Council ship. "They destroyed 3 Valtrine warships in seconds," he announced to the assembly. His voice echoed through translation devices in 800 different languages. "A species that has barely achieved faster-than-light travel, destroyed military vessels that have served the Council for centuries." "This cannot stand." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some species were angry. Others were afraid. A few seemed curious. A representative from the Korvath, a species that looked like walking trees, raised a branch-like arm. "Perhaps we should investigate before responding with force." The Valtrine commander admitted he activated weapons first. Perhaps the humans acted in self-defense. Self-defense? Velnash's voice dripped with contempt. They are primitives who stumbled into space. The Valtrine were simply encouraging them to accept our guidance. The humans responded with violence, as their species always does. I have reviewed their history. They have fought wars continuously for their entire existence. They have never known true peace. He gestured, and holographic images of Earth appeared above the assembly. Scenes of human wars played out. Ancient battles with swords, medieval sieges, world wars with millions dead, nuclear explosions. The images were carefully selected to show humanity at its worst. This is what we face, Velnash continued, a species of predators who solve every problem with violence. If we allow this insult to go unanswered, others will think they can challenge the Council's authority. We must respond with overwhelming force. The vote was quick. Only 17 species voted against military action. The rest agreed. Send a fleet to Earth and force humanity to submit. They would do what the Valtrine had failed to do, bring these violent primitives under control. 200 warships would make the journey. It would take them 3 weeks to reach Earth. The Council was certain it would be enough. On Earth, panic had already begun. Fleet Marshal Doyen Han stood in the Pentagon, watching news reports from around the world. Riots in some cities, prayer vigils in others, people trying to flee into the countryside as if that would help when alien warships arrived. He understood their fear. He felt it too. How bad is it? Asked Counselor Soyeon Lim, Earth's Emergency War Council leader. She had been a senator before this crisis. Now she was effectively the military governor of Earth. We have 47 ships, Doyen said flatly. Most of them are converted exploration vessels. We have railguns on 30 of them. The rest have missiles and nothing else. We're estimating the Council is sending at least 200 ships based on their fleet movements. Soyeon closed her eyes. Can we win? No, Doyen said honestly. Not in a straight fight. Their technology is generations ahead of ours in some areas. They have energy shields, plasma weapons. Their ships are faster, but what? Dr. Minji Park has been analyzing what we learned from that first encounter. She thinks she's found a weakness. Minji entered the room at that moment looking like she hadn't slept in days. She probably hadn't. She carried a tablet and immediately started talking. The Galactic Council hasn't fought a real war in 10,000 years, she said. Their conflicts are ritualized. When two Council species have a dispute, they send ships to face each other, exchange fire at long range, and whoever loses the most ships surrenders. It's like a formalized duel. They have rules. Honor codes. They fight wars the way we play chess. Doyen leaned forward. And humans don't fight that way. Humans fight to win, Minji said. We fight dirty. We ambush. We use terrain. We adapt. When humans go to war, we don't care about honor. We care about survival. Engineer Sung Jae-yoon, who had been quiet in the corner, suddenly spoke up. I have an idea. It's crazy, but it might work. Everyone turned to look at him. Sung-jae had designed the railgun system that destroyed the Valtrine ships. If anyone could find a way to fight advanced aliens, it was him. The asteroid belt, he said. We have thousands of mining platforms out there. Automated systems. We use them to extract minerals. But those platforms have power generators and manipulator arms. What if we turn them into weapon platforms? Railguns don't need exotic materials, Doyen said slowly, understanding. Just electricity and metal. And we have both in the asteroid belt. Exactly, Seung-jae said. We can't build 200 warships in 3 weeks. But we can turn thousands of mining platforms into stationary railguns. When the Council fleet comes through the belt, we hit them from every direction. They'll see the platforms, Soyeon objected. Will they? Minji asked. The Council has probably never seen guerrilla warfare. They'll be looking for our fleet, not for hidden weapons in the asteroids. They expect us to meet them honorably. Doyen smiled for the first time in days. Then let's not be honorable. Let's be human. The next 3 weeks were chaos. Every available engineer worked around the clock converting mining platforms. Sung-jae's design was simple. An electromagnetic rail powered by the platform's fusion reactor, launching chunks of metal at incredible speeds. Each platform could only fire a few times before overheating, but there were thousands of platforms. Lieutenant Bora Song, one of Earth's best pilots, volunteered to lead a squadron of fighters. The fighters were tiny, fast ships originally designed for mining escorts. They wouldn't last in a real battle, but they might survive long enough to cause damage. You understand this is a suicide mission, Doyen told her bluntly. Bora nodded. I understand. But if we don't stop them in the belt, they reach Earth. My family is on Earth, everyone's family is on Earth, so yeah, I understand. And I'm still going. 50 other pilots volunteered to join her. They were given humanity's entire supply of nuclear missiles and told to get creative. Admiral Minho Kang, a veteran who had spent 20 years in space, took command of the asteroid belt defense. He positioned Earth's 47 warships carefully, hidden behind large asteroids waiting. The railgun platforms were scattered throughout the belt, disguised to look like ordinary mining equipment. It was a trap. The most elaborate trap humanity had ever built. When the Council fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system, they moved with confidence. Their formation was perfect, their spacing exact. They flew like they were in a parade, not going to war. Admiral Velthar, a Korvath who commanded the fleet, sent a message toward Earth. Humans of Earth, you have one chance to surrender. Submit to the Council's authority and you will be spared. Resist and you will be eliminated. You have 1 hour to respond. Doyen Han, watching from Earth, sent a simple reply. Come and take us. The Council fleet accelerated toward the inner solar system. They had to pass through the asteroid belt. Velthar knew about the asteroids, of course. His scans showed thousands of mining platforms throughout the belt. He ordered his ships to avoid the largest asteroids, but otherwise ignored the platforms. They were just industrial equipment, after all. No threat to military vessels. It was the worst mistake of his long life. When the fleet reached the densest part of the belt, Admiral Minho gave the order. Fire everything. Thousands of railgun platforms activated simultaneously. Tungsten rods, iron chunks, even compressed ice, anything metal and dense, accelerated to incredible speeds. The platforms fired from every direction, turning the asteroid belt into a three-dimensional storm of kinetic death. Council ships had shields designed to stop energy weapons. Plasma couldn't penetrate them. Lasers scattered off them, but simple chunks of metal traveling fast enough didn't care about energy shields. Physics is physics. The first 30 ships exploded within seconds. Alarms screamed through the Council fleet as Velthar realized they were in a trap. He ordered evasive maneuvers, but in the dense asteroid field there was nowhere to go. Return fire, he commanded. Destroy those platforms. Council ships began firing their plasma cannons. They destroyed dozens of platforms, but for every one they destroyed, 10 more opened fire. And the platforms were hidden among thousands of asteroids. Finding them all was impossible. Then Bora Song's fighter squadron struck. The Council had never developed small fighters. Their battles were between large ships at long range. They didn't expect tiny human craft to come screaming through the chaos at incredible speeds. The fighters were so small that Council sensors barely detected them. Bora's squadron attached nuclear-tipped missiles directly to Council ship hulls and detonated them at point-blank range. 5 fighters were destroyed in their own explosions, but they took 20 Council ships with them. All squadrons follow my lead, Bora shouted into her radio. Hit and run. Make every shot count. Admiral Minho's warships emerged from behind asteroids, adding their railguns to the chaos. Earth's ships were smaller and weaker than Council vessels, but in the confusion of the battle, they could get close enough to target vulnerable points. Private Jiwoo Nam had never expected to board an alien spaceship. She was a Marine, trained for combat, but her specialty was close-quarters fighting on Earth, not in space. Yet here she was, floating in zero gravity toward a crippled Council dreadnought, carrying a rifle that might not even work against alien armor. Remember, her squad leader whispered through the comm. We have no idea what we'll find inside. Stay alert. Stay together. And for God's sake, don't touch anything that glows. The boarding team consisted of 20 Marines. They had trained for this for exactly 4 days, which was 4 days more than any human in history had trained for boarding alien vessels. The Council ship was dead in space, drifting among the asteroid debris. Its crew was probably alive, but the ship couldn't fight anymore. Why are we doing this? Asked one of the younger Marines. Why not just blow it up? Because we need information, Jiwoo replied. We need to know how their technology works, how they think, what they're planning next. They cut through the hull using portable plasma torches, another piece of technology that Sungjae had reverse-engineered from debris. Inside, the ship was dark except for emergency lights. The atmosphere read as breathable, barely. What they found inside shocked them. The council crew members they encountered didn't fight. They surrendered immediately, dropping their weapons and raising their limbs in what was clearly a gesture of submission. Some were injured. None seemed prepared for humans to actually board their ship. They don't know how to fight like this, Jiwoo realized. They've never had to. The Marines secured the ship within an hour. They captured 63 alien crew members from 4 different species. Not one had fired a shot after the humans entered. Later, when interrogated, the aliens explained that boarding actions were considered barbaric and hadn't been practiced in council space for thousands of years. The intelligence gained from that ship changed everything. General Daehyun Park, head of Earth's Special Operations, reviewed the captured data with growing excitement. The Council's military doctrine was incredibly advanced in some ways and shockingly primitive in others. They had amazing ships and powerful weapons, but their tactics were ancient, ritualized, predictable. They fight by appointment, Daehyun said to his staff. They schedule their battles. They agree on where and when to fight. They have rules about civilian targets, about retreat, about surrender. They fight like medieval knights jousting, not like soldiers trying to win a war. What does that mean for us? Asked one of his officers. It means we can take the fight to them, Daehyun said. We can raid their supply lines, hit their shipyards, attack their bases, all the things they would never expect because they don't fight that way. Fleet Marshal Doyen approved the plan immediately. Earth couldn't win a straight fight against the Council's full might, but they didn't need to. They just needed to make the war so costly that the Council would negotiate. Meanwhile, scientist Yoonji Kwon was making breakthrough after breakthrough with captured Council technology. The alien ships used quantum processors that were centuries ahead of Earth's computers, but they were also incredibly standardized. Every Council ship used the same basic operating system, the same command protocols. It's like they all bought their computers from the same store and never changed the default password, Yoonji explained to engineer Seungjae. Their security assumes everyone in the Council can be trusted. They never planned for an enemy that would hack their systems. Can we use that? Seungjae asked. Yoonji grinned. I can write a virus that will spread through every Council ship that connects to their network. It won't destroy them, but it will give us access to their sensors, their communications, maybe even their weapons. While scientists worked on cyber warfare, someone else was working on actual warfare. Diplomatic officer Hana Yang had made contact with the Tauran faction, a group of Council species who opposed the war with humanity. The Tauran were peaceful traders who had studied human broadcasts for years. They believed humanity deserved a chance at peace. Your government is making a mistake, the Tauran ambassador told Hana over a secret transmission. High Arbiter Velnash is old and afraid of change. Many Council species don't want this war, but they're afraid to speak against him. Can you help us? Hana asked. We can share information. We can delay votes. But we cannot openly support you. If we did, Velnash would declare us traitors. The Tauran paused. But I can tell you this. The Council has eliminated species before. Dozens of them. Any species that refused to submit was destroyed. Your resistance gives other species hope that the Council can be challenged. That conversation gave Hana an idea. Earth needed allies, but they also needed to expose the Council's true nature. If other species knew about the genocides, maybe they would turn against the leadership. 3 months after the Battle of the Belt, Earth launched its first offensive operation. Captain Junho Lee, who had fired the first shots of the war, led a strike force of 15 ships to a Council shipyard in a nearby star system. The shipyard was building warships for the second assault on Earth. The attack was carefully planned. Yoonji's virus had been uploaded to several Council data networks, giving Earth real-time information about the shipyard's defenses. The strike force approached from an unexpected angle, using a route through an asteroid field that Council ships considered too dangerous. They have 12 defense platforms, Junho's tactical officer reported, and about 200 workers in the construction bays. Junho felt his stomach turn. 200 workers, civilians, people just doing their jobs. But if he didn't destroy this shipyard, the ships being built here would attack Earth, would kill millions of humans. Target the defense platforms first, he ordered. Give the workers time to evacuate. The attack began with railgun strikes on the orbital defenses. Earth's ships had improved dramatically in 3 months. They now had shields copied from Council technology, though not as good as the originals. They had better targeting systems, and they had something the Council didn't expect: desperation. The defense platforms were destroyed in minutes. Then Junho broadcast a message to the shipyard. "This is Captain Junho Lee of Earth. You have 10 minutes to evacuate. After that, we will destroy this facility." He gave them the full 10 minutes. Most of the workers escaped in life pods, but not all. Some stayed at their posts trying to defend their workplace. Others couldn't reach the escape pods in time. When Junho gave the order to fire on the shipyard itself, he watched hundreds of ships under construction explode. He watched the station's main reactor overload. He watched the whole complex tear itself apart. He also watched 12 life pods that hadn't made it clear in time get caught in the explosion. The raid was a complete success. Earth's force escaped with only minor damage. They had destroyed a major Council shipyard and hundreds of warships that would never threaten Earth. The raid proved that humanity could strike anywhere, anytime. But that night, Junho couldn't sleep. He kept seeing those life pods, caught in the fire. "We're becoming what they said we were," he told Dr. Minji, who had accompanied the raid as an intelligence officer. "Violent, brutal, we just killed civilians." "They're building ships to attack Earth," Minji reminded him. "Ships that will kill our civilians. This is war, Junho. There are no good choices." "That doesn't make it right." Minji didn't have an answer for that. Neither did anyone else. The Council's response to the raid was fury. High Arbiter Velnash declared humanity to be a plague species that must be eliminated at any cost. He mobilized 2,000 ships for a second assault. This time there would be no mercy. But something unexpected happened. The Tauran faction, emboldened by Earth's success, openly questioned Velnash's leadership in the Council chamber. Other species joined them. The debate lasted for weeks. The humans acted in self-defense, one representative argued. "We threatened them first. Perhaps we should negotiate." "Negotiate?" Velnash roared. "They are animals. They attack civilians. They fight without honor. They must be destroyed. We eliminated the Krethon species for refusing to join the Council," another voice said quietly. "And the Velkor. And the Mishnah. Are we the honorable ones, or are we the bullies?" The Council chamber fell silent. No one had spoken of the eliminated species in centuries. It was an embarrassing truth that everyone ignored. High Arbiter Velnash looked around the chamber and saw doubt on many faces. He knew he was losing control of the narrative, so he made a desperate decision. "The Second Fleet will launch in 1 month," he declared, "and they will carry planet-killer weapons. If humanity will not surrender, then Earth itself will be destroyed. We will make an example of them that will last for 10,000 years." In the chamber, several species representatives left in protest, but most stayed silent. Fear won over conscience. On Earth, Diplomatic Officer Hana received word from her Tauran contacts about the planet-killer weapons. She immediately reported to the War Council. "How long until they can deploy them?" Fleet Marshal Doyen asked. 4 to 6 weeks, Hana said. "Maybe less." Doyen looked at his officers, at Councillor Soyon, at all the people who had been fighting this war for months. They were exhausted. They had won battles, but they hadn't won the war. And now the Council was preparing to destroy Earth itself. The final preparation began with a simple question from scientist Yunji. She was standing in front of a holographic display showing the Council's capital station, pointing at the massive structure with shaking hands. "How do we get through that?" she asked. The station was enormous, larger than any human city. It orbited a neutron star and was protected by energy shields that could withstand a supernova. 300 defense platforms surrounded it. And inside the station were 2,000 Council warships preparing for their assault on Earth. Admiral Minho studied the display for a long time before answering. "We don't get through it. We go into it." "Explain," Fleet Marshal Doyen said. "The Council thinks we'll attack from outside, try to break through their shields with brute force," Minho continued. "But what if we don't? What if we pretend to be one of them?" Engineer Sungjae understood immediately. "The captured ships. We have 17 Council vessels that we've repaired and retrofitted. If we upload Yunji's virus to make their identity codes look correct, we could fly right past their defenses." "It won't work for long," Yunji warned. "Maybe 20 minutes before someone notices the codes are fake. But 20 minutes might be enough." The plan came together quickly. Earth's fleet would divide into two groups. The first group, led by Admiral Minho, would approach openly and engage the Council's defenses. This would be the obvious threat, the attack the Council expected. The second group, led by Captain Junho, would use captured Council ships to sneak past the defenses and reach the station itself. Once we're inside, Junho explained, we deploy ground teams to reach the communication hub. Private Jiwoo and her Marines will secure it so Yunji can upload our evidence to every Council species simultaneously. And while that's happening, General Daehyun added, my Special Forces teams will target the planet killer weapons. If we can destroy them or at least delay them, Earth gains time. Diplomatic Officer Hana would broadcast the message herself, live to the entire galaxy. She had been working on her speech for weeks, refining every word with help from Dr. Minji. We're not just fighting for Earth, Hana said. We're fighting for every species that the Council has threatened. We need to make them see that the Council isn't what it pretends to be. Lieutenant Bora Song, who had survived the Battle of the Belt, volunteered to lead the fighter squadrons again. This time she had 200 pilots under her command. Not all of them would come home. She knew that. They all knew that. We're going to make them remember us, Bora told her pilots before the mission. Whatever happens, we're going to show the galaxy that humans don't give up. The fleet left Earth 3 weeks later. Every ship that could fly, every weapon that could fire, every soldier who could fight. They left Earth defended by nothing but hope and prayer. If they failed, there would be no second chance. The journey to the Council's capital took 4 days. 4 days of checking weapons, running drills, and thinking about home. Sergeant Taeyang spent those days writing letters to his family that would only be delivered if he died. Most of the soldiers did the same. When they arrived at the edge of the Council's system, they could see the enemy fleet waiting. 2,000 ships in perfect formation, confident and ready. The Council had never lost a war. They didn't believe they could lose this one. All ships, this is Fleet Marshal Doyen. The transmission went out to every human vessel. We're a long way from home. We're outnumbered 20-1. The enemy has better ships, better weapons, and 10,000 years of experience. But they don't have what we have. They don't have everything to lose. They don't have families waiting back home. They don't have the desperation of a species fighting for its survival. Today we show the galaxy what humanity is made of. Today we either win our freedom or we die trying. Either way, we go forward together. The first group of ships, led by Admiral Minho, accelerated toward the Council's defenses. Alarms immediately sounded on the Council station. The second fleet, 2,000 strong, began moving to intercept. High Arbiter Velnash watched from the station's command center. So the humans come to us, he said with satisfaction. They save us the trouble of traveling to their planet. Destroy them. Leave none alive. The Council fleet opened fire first. Plasma beams and missile swarms filled space. Admiral Minho's group returned fire with railguns and captured Council weapons. The battle began, violent and chaotic. While everyone's attention was focused on that battle, Captain Junho's group approached from a different angle. The captured Council ships transmitted fake identity codes. For 15 precious minutes, they flew unopposed through the outer defenses. It's working, Junho whispered. We're actually going to make it. Then an alarm sounded. A Council security officer had noticed something wrong with the identity codes. The disguise was blown. All ships break formation and engage, Junho ordered. Get to the station. What followed was the most desperate race of Junho's life. His 17 ships, now revealed as enemies, sprinted toward the station while defense platforms opened fire. 3 ships were destroyed immediately. 5 more were crippled but kept flying on momentum alone. Bora's fighter squadron launched from the surviving ships, tiny craft weaving through the storm of weapons fire. Their job was to distract the defenses long enough for the larger ships to reach the station's docking bays. All fighters, make noise, Bora shouted. Make them look at us. The fighters attacked everything they could reach, drawing fire away from the troop transports. It worked, but the cost was terrible. Within minutes, half of Bora's squadron was gone. She kept flying, kept fighting even as her fighter took hit after hit. Transport 1, this is Bora, she transmitted. The docking bay is clear. Get in there now. Transport 1, carrying Private Jiwoo and her Marines, blasted through the station's outer hull and crashed into a docking bay. The impact killed 3 Marines instantly. The rest poured out, weapons ready. What they found surprised them. The Council species inside the station weren't soldiers. They were bureaucrats, diplomats, civilians. When the Marines appeared, most of them ran. A few tried to fight with whatever they could find. None of them knew how to fight against trained human soldiers. "This feels wrong," one Marine said as they moved through corridors, meeting almost no resistance. "They're not even trying to stop us." Because they've never been invaded before, Jiwoo realized. For 10,000 years, this station has been safe. They don't know how to defend it. They reached the communication hub faster than expected. Scientist Yoonji, wearing a hastily assembled spacesuit, ran to the central console and began working. Her fingers flew across the alien controls, uploading the virus she had spent months creating. "I need 5 minutes," she said. "Just give me 5 minutes." Outside, the space battle had reached its peak. Admiral Minho's force was being torn apart by superior numbers, but they kept fighting, kept buying time. Every second they survived was another second for the teams inside the station. General Daehyun's special forces had found the planet-killer weapons, massive devices that looked more like small moons than weapons. They began planting explosives, racing against time. On the main battlefield, Admiral Minho's flagship took a direct hit. The ship's reactor went critical. Minho, wounded and dying, gave one last order. "Ram them," he said. "Full speed into their flagship." His crew, the ones who were still alive, didn't hesitate. The burning wreck of Earth's flagship accelerated toward the Council Fleet command ship. They collided in a blast that destroyed both vessels and damaged a dozen others. Inside the station, High Arbiter Velnash finally realized what was happening. "They're in the communication hub." "Stop them!" Council security forces, finally organized, rushed toward the hub. Private Jiwoo and her 20 Marines set up a defensive position in the corridor outside. "This is it," Jiwoo told her squad. "Nobody gets through. I don't care what it takes." The battle in that corridor lasted 3 minutes. Council security forces had energy weapons and armor. The Marines had determination and training. When the firing stopped, 15 Marines were dead. The rest were wounded. But the corridor was held. "Yoonji," Jiwoo shouted. "Whatever you're doing, do it now!" "Done," Yoonji screamed. "It's uploading." "It's going to every species in the council." Diplomatic Officer Hana began her broadcast. Her face appeared on every screen in the galaxy, in every language spoken by every species in the council. "People of the galaxy," she said, her voice strong despite her fear. "My name is Hana Yang, and I speak for humanity. You have been told that we are violent, primitive, dangerous. What you haven't been told is why this war started." The broadcast showed the recording of the first contact. Commander Salth threatening Earth, the weapons being locked on the horizon's edge. Captain Junho's decision to defend his ship. "We fired in self-defense," Hana continued. "But this war isn't really about that. It's about a system that demands submission or death. We have discovered evidence that the Galactic Council has eliminated 72 species throughout history. Entire civilizations erased because they refused to obey. We have their names. We have the records. The evidence scrolled across screens throughout the galaxy. Species that had been forgotten, written out of history, genocides committed in the name of peace. All hidden, all denied, all true. 5 years after the war ended, Earth looked different. The scars of conflict had healed in most places, but nobody had forgotten. How could they? Nearly 100,000 humans had died in the war. Every city had memorials now. Every family had lost someone. Diplomatic Officer Hana Yang stood in front of one such memorial in Seoul. The black marble wall stretched for 100 meters, covered with names. She found the ones she was looking for, the pilots from Lieutenant Bora's first squadron, the Marines who died in that corridor, Admiral Minho and his entire crew. "So many names. Too many. You still come here?" a voice asked behind her. Hana turned to see Dr. Minji Park. The former xenolinguist was now Earth's Secretary of Interspecies Relations. Her job was to manage Earth's relationship with the 300 species that now formed the new Galactic Federation. It was exhausting work, but somebody had to do it. "Every week," Hana said. "I feel like I owe them that much." "They didn't die for nothing," Minji said softly. "The galaxy is different now because of them." That was true. The old Galactic Council had been dissolved. High Arbiter Velnash and his inner circle were serving life sentences on a neutral world, guarded by representatives from multiple species. The new Galactic Federation that replaced the Council was truly democratic, with no species holding permanent authority over others. Earth had been offered a founding seat on the Federation Council. After much debate, they had accepted. It seemed wrong to fight so hard for freedom and then refuse to help build something better. How is the trial going? Hana asked. She hadn't attended any of the sessions. Couldn't bring herself to. Almost done, Minji said. Belnash keeps insisting he was maintaining order, that the species he eliminated were dangerous. But the evidence is overwhelming. Even his own people have turned against him. They stood in silence for a while, reading names. Across the city, Fleet Marshal Doyen Han was giving a speech at the military academy. He was older now, his hair completely gray. The war had aged him 20 years in the span of one, but his voice was still strong. The lesson of the war, he told the young cadets, is not that humans are the strongest species. We're not. We're not the smartest, not the fastest, not the most advanced, but we're stubborn. When the galaxy told us to kneel, we said no. When they told us we couldn't win, we fought anyway. And when victory came, we showed mercy to those who had shown us none. He paused, looking at the young faces watching him. Never forget what that war cost. Never forget the people we lost, and never ever think that war is glorious. War is hell. It's necessary sometimes, but it's always hell. The real victory wasn't in defeating the Council. It was in building something better afterward. In the asteroid belt, engineer Seung Jae-yoon was overseeing construction of a new type of station. It was a joint project between Earth and 12 other species, a research facility dedicated to peaceful exploration. The mining platforms that had once been weapons were now being converted back to their original purpose. Funny how things work out, Seung Jae said to his assistant, a young Tauran engineer. We built weapons to survive. Now we're building tools to explore. That's the difference between your species and the old Council, the Tauran replied. You know when to fight and when to build. The Council had forgotten how to do both. Seung Jae smiled. He liked working with aliens now. The first few months after the war had been awkward, working alongside species that had tried to kill humanity just months before. But hatred couldn't last forever. Eventually, you had to choose between holding grudges and moving forward. Most people, human and alien alike, chose to move forward. On Mars, scientist Yoonji Kwon was teaching a class of students from 15 different species. She was explaining how Earth's computer systems worked and how they were different from Council technology. The Council made everything uniform, she explained. Same operating system, same protocols. It was efficient but vulnerable. One virus could affect everything. Earth's systems were chaotic, disorganized, but that chaos made them resistant. Different nations used different systems. It was harder to coordinate, but also harder to break. A student raised a tentacle. Is it true you wrote the virus that crashed the Council's network by yourself? Yoonji laughed. I had help. Lots of help. But yes, I designed the core code. Though I hope I never have to write something like that again. These days, I prefer building things instead of breaking them. Captain Junho Lee was far from Earth, commanding the New Horizon, a joint Earth Federation exploration vessel. His crew was half human, half various alien species. It had taken time to learn to work together, to trust each other, but they had managed. They were mapping a previously unexplored region of space, looking for new worlds and new civilizations. This time, first contact would be different. This time, they would approach with genuine peace, not demands or threats. Captain, we're detecting a signal from the planet below, his communication officer reported. It was a Korvath, the tree-like species. It appears to be artificial. There might be intelligent life down there. Junho felt a chill. First contact. After everything that had happened with humanity's first contact, this moment carried weight. All hands prepare for first contact protocols, he ordered. And someone get Dr. Minji on the line. If we're meeting a new species, I want Earth's best diplomat available. In her office on Earth, Minji received the call. She dropped everything and took the next transport to Junho's location. Some things were too important to delegate. General Dae-hyun Park had retired from military service. He now ran a school for orphans, children who had lost their parents in the war. Human and alien children studied together, learning each other's languages and cultures. It was Dae-hyun's way of making sure the next generation wouldn't repeat the mistakes of their parents. General Park, one of the human children asked, is it true you fought in every major battle of the war? Dae-hyun nodded slowly. Most of them, yes. Were you scared? Terrified, Dae-hyun admitted. Every single time. Fear doesn't make you a coward. It makes you careful. The people who weren't scared were usually the ones who didn't survive. Do you think there will be another war? An alien child asked. Daehyun looked at the mixed group of students, human and alien, sitting together, learning together. I hope not. But if there is, I hope you'll remember that the goal isn't to win the war, it's to build the peace that comes after. Private Ji-woo Nam was no longer a private. She was now Colonel Nam, head of the Federation's Marine Training Program. She taught soldiers from dozens of species how to work together, how to fight together if necessary, but more importantly, how to avoid fighting in the first place. Combat should always be the last option, she told her trainees, because once it starts, good people die. I lost 15 members of my squad in that corridor. 15 people who should have gone home to their families. I think about them every day, and every day, I work to make sure no one else has to lose their squad the way I lost mine. Sergeant Taeyang Kim had gone home to his family's farm after the war. He grew vegetables now, worked the land, tried to forget the things he had seen and done. But on quiet nights, he would look up at the stars and remember. Remember his friends who had died. Remember the aliens he had killed. Remember the fear and the courage and the moments when survival seemed impossible. Sometimes young people from the village would visit him, asking about the war, wanting to hear stories of glory and heroism. Taeyang would tell them the truth instead. War isn't what you see in movies, he would say. It's not noble or heroic. It's terrifying and messy, and it leaves scars that never really heal. Yes, we won. Yes, humanity survived. But the cost was high, too high. Remember that before you ever wish for war. Lieutenant Borisong had survived the war, though barely. She had been medically discharged after the final battle, her injuries too severe for continued service. She worked now as a civilian flight instructor, teaching the next generation of pilots. You have to understand, she told her students, that flying isn't about being fearless. It's about being afraid and flying anyway. Half my squadron died in the Battle of the Belt. More died in the final assault. I should have died a dozen times. But I kept flying because people were counting on me. That's what courage really is. Not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. One evening, all the surviving heroes of the war gathered for a memorial service. It was the 5th anniversary of the war's end. Hana Minji, Doyeon, Junho, Eunji, Seungjae, Daehyun, Jiwoo, Taeyang, and Bora. 10 people who had changed the course of galactic history. They didn't talk much about the war. What was there to say that hadn't been said 1,000 times already? Instead, they talked about the future, about the new ships being built, about the colonies being established on friendly alien worlds, about the human children growing up speaking alien languages and the alien children learning to love human music. Do you think we did the right thing? Junyo asked suddenly. We killed so many people, destroyed so many ships. Even after we won, the death toll kept rising as damaged ships failed, as wounded soldiers died, as radiation from destroyed reactors spread through systems. The group fell silent. It was a question they all thought about but rarely spoke aloud. Finally, Doyeon answered, We did what we had to do. The council gave us a choice, submit or die.